Hello, everybody. We're on to podcast number 7 on the Primitive Substance Dennis Young podcast show. And a special guest today is one of the originators of this channel, Mr. Ray Bally, who I've known now since 2006.
Oh,
And we're going to go over his story and how he started with music, etc. And we'll take it from there. Ray, how you doing tonight?
good, Dennis. How are you?
Good. I hear you're good.
Thanks
So,
for
can
having
you
me. I
share a little bit?
appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, no problem. So, we could start off with share a little about your background and how you got started in music.
Okay. From the very beginning, you mean like 10 years old?
Well, whenever you feel like either
Okay.
in New York or at home.
Yeah, well, I was 10 years old when I started guitar lessons. My neighbor directly across the street was named Gene Finch, and he was kind of an old-time jazz guitar player, and he was a guitar teacher. So I studied with him from age 10 to I think about 15 or 16. And we studied jazz and a little bit of rock. And I started with a really terrible little acoustic guitar, and then I ended up getting an electric guitar. And then I had bands in high school.
Okay.
And then I came to New York City. I went to NYU.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, I came to New York because I thought that's where you would go to become a musician. But I went to college, but I really wanted to be a musician. And I met a guy named Paul McKenna at NYU the
Okay.
freshman year, and he was a guitar player. And we just decided to start a band together. And
How about that?
he took up the bass. This was 1978, and I played guitar, and we started writing songs. And we played together from 1978 to 1989.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we did a lot of music together. He's a really good songwriter, a really good singer, and we had band after band after band. And it's funny because the way that we do music, me, you, and Brad, we were always, and the way you do music, really,
Right.
even individually, there's always this sort of experimentation, sort of adventure sort of feel to it. You do one recording, you put together one band, and then you do it, and then you move on to the next thing. And
Right. Well, that's the way to do it, I think.
well, that's how Paul and I did it. And we did a thing with Casios and drum machines. We did a thing with rock bands. We did a thing with acoustic players. We did it all. Had a couple percussionists at one point. So that was I wasn't writing too many songs. Paul was primarily the songwriter. I was kind of I helped arrange some of the songs, and I played guitar, and got a lot of the gigs and did a lot of the promotion. Got different musicians, but I
Hmm.
wasn't writing that much.
Okay.
Although I consider myself really a songwriter, guitar player slash songwriter. And I was in New York when you were there, and
Exactly. Yep.
the late '70s into the '80s, I saw every great band that you can imagine, including Liquid Liquid, many
Thank you.
times. Yeah, I went to all the clubs: Hurrahs, Danceteria, Tier Three, Club 57, and all these other little places that would come up. Squat Theater. Yeah, it was fantastic, and there was a lot of art at the time, as you know.
Right.
It was a great time to be in New York. Great
I
time.
remember when you came up to the stage and asked me about the Rototoms, I think, at
Yes,
one of the shows.
that was
That's
I'll tell you
great.
exactly. It was at Hurrahs, and you were, that was my favorite club. I loved Hurrahs. It was like a punk disco. That's what they kind of named
Yeah.
it. Do you remember that on
Oh,
62nd
well,
Street?
yeah, that was our first big show, was at
Well,
Ross.
I don't know if I was at your first big one, but I saw you
That
there
was it.
at least a couple times, and we had bought Rototoms, and I think Liquid Liquid was a direct influence of that. And you were at the edge of the stage, sort of fiddling with your setup, and it was early. I don't know, or maybe it was. I
Mm,
don't know when it was. And I came up to you and I said, "Yeah, we've got Rototoms too." And you chatted with me for a minute, and then of course we, never met again until what was it, 2005 or 2006?
right, right. And that's a whole nother crazy story,
Crazy
right?
story,
It's a
completely
small
crazy.
world, right?
Literally,
But
that's
you were,
yeah.
go ahead.
That was 35 years later.
Wow. And you were big into that band Suicide too, right?
Love
Alan Vega, I
Suicide.
remember.
Yes, we love Suicide. We loved Alan Vega very much. In fact, we were covering a Suicide song, and
How about that?
yeah, I think we were one of the first group. This was 1979. We were one of the first groups to cover Suicide. I looked it up online.
How
Different.
about that?
There was a group in Europe that covered them in like 1978, and then there was a bunch of groups that covered them in the 80s. But in 79, we were doing a song. We saw them at Hurrah's, and I met a guy who knew Alan, and he told me where Alan Vega lived.
How about that?
So he lived down on Wall Street, right off of Wall Street in a loft. Nobody lived down there, Dennis. You know that, like downtown back then, nobody.
Right.
How people do now. Anyway, we made a flyer for an upcoming gig, and I actually went down to Wall Street, put the flyer in his mailbox or near his, I don't know, taped it to the wall, I don't remember, and put our phone number, and he called us up.
How about that?
Yeah, he said, you guys, yeah, I'm going to come to your show. So he did.
He was a sweet guy, you know.
Very nice guy.
He did not have a big rock star ego.
No, he was actually a really, really nice guy. He told us after the gig that we did the song better than him, which of course wasn't true. And then we had a saxophone, drums, guitar, and bass. And he said, you should get rid of the saxophone, and I'll help you get some gigs, and maybe I could produce something with you.
How about that? I didn't know that.
Yes. Yeah,
wow.
He liked us. And of course, I saw him a few times after that, and I probably tried to call him, but I wasn't very good at sort of back then kind of, what would you say, capitalizing on your opportunities. It didn't really come to fruition. I saw him play many times after that, but we never played music together. And that's kind of a big regret of mine,
Did you ever record with Paul? I don't remember ever hearing any music recorded.
We did a lot of recordings. We put out, I think, 4 or 5. Yeah, we did a ton of recordings. We put out, about 4 or 5 cassette albums.
Wow.
We did one vinyl album, 4-song EP that we put out ourselves. And I think, like I said, 4 or 5 cassette albums.
I don't think I ever heard any of this stuff. I might have, but I don't remember.
I haven't really played it for you.
No, I've never heard it.
Yeah, we did a lot of music together. A lot. And we got reviewed for magazines. There was an English magazine that reviewed us and said we were the next big band and things like that, And but it was hard, it was very hard to get any traction. I mean, it was hard then,
We were very lucky. We had 9 Records behind us. And a unique sound, unique singer. But New York was tough, but it was an exciting time because the clubs were really active. Everybody was excited to get out and hear music.
Yeah, and you would go to a club and you wouldn't even necessarily know who was playing.
Right.
And the thing about Liquid was you guys were pretty special. You had your own sound, and it was very different. There were a lot of punk bands, new wave bands, pop bands, but you guys did something that nobody else was doing, and it was a very unique sound. And I don't know, your music is still played today, that, and it's pretty
long. Well, I think, from the start, even the jams, before it was Liquid with these guys, it was certainly something different, even from the beginning.
And you look at Ed Bauman in 9/9, and you look at the catalog, he had a very specific vision of what he was looking for. Liquid, ESG, Bush Tetras, Glenn Blanco, Y-Pants.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it really was a beautiful sort of, I don't know how to describe it, but I think, you guys fit in for him. And I think you were the best band on the label. I mean, ESG, I was a big fan of theirs as well. I love them. They're great. But Liquid, you guys were really doing some really special music, and always one of my favorite bands. So when I met you in 2005 at the little cafe at a strip club,
I'd like to hear that. That story is amazing because I was on MySpace.
You were on MySpace
at that time, and I was getting a lot of opportunities on MySpace, even to do recording sessions, etc. And that's where you found me on there, which is That's when I was going through my starting my acoustic guitar phase.
And then I met you there. There was like a mother and her kid having ice cream sundaes. Janice was there and I was there. That was it. And I was like, wow, this is surreal. Dennis Young from Liquid Liquid is playing acoustic guitar in this little cafe in the middle of nowhere in New Jersey. And I had moved to New Jersey by then.
How
And
about
I
that?
came up to you and I said, I was a big fan and all that. And then you said, oh, well, I'm making a new record. And it was Shadow at the time.
Yep.
I said, which kind of surprised me, you said you were in the studio or some studio nearby, whatever, Fire Dog Studio. I said, hey, can I come to the sessions? You were mixing. You had finished.
Right. Exactly.
And I said, could I come to a mix session? And you said yes. And that was it. And I was like, wow, you don't necessarily, you don't necessarily say things like that to somebody when you first meet them. But I guess I felt you were very open, and you are very open as a person and an artist. So, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, I've never had a big ego with all this. You don't take it for granted, any of this, music, and now that we're still getting played, and it's quite phenomenal, and it's great now with this website on YouTube, which I hope everybody's going to subscribe out there. I'm going to be able to put on some more rare videos. You're going to be able to put on some videos, Brad. Right. And we could keep adding on to this. So,
well, I want to go to the next thing, but I think the band was unique. The songs are amazing. The grooves, obviously, the DJs all over the world still love the grooves. But the way that the band was recorded, it's not recorded like a lot of music when it's recorded in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. There are a lot of production techniques that signify that period. And Liquid Liquid didn't have that. And everybody, their stuff was recorded clean, simple, amazing mixes. Arrangements are really great, but you didn't have, a Canon reverb on the snare drum and digital delays all over this and that, and different sort of compressors that were popular in the 80s. You didn't have that. So when you play it, it doesn't sound like this. It came from the 80s. It sounds like somebody could have recorded that today. And I think that's a big part of the appeal. But, maybe
it is.
The real appeal.
And we recorded live, too, and then we added the overdub. So the original tracks were recorded live as a band.
Well, see, that's also spectacular. And that's the way to do records. And that's why another reason the music is so strong even today, I think.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. So let's get on to, you've recently recorded some really good records, and you have some really good lyrics, especially, and you're kind of changing styles a lot too on the fly. What's your creative process like? How do you come about starting a song?
I'll tell you. I'll give you a little history on how I got to the point where I feel pretty comfortable as a songwriter. Because I said when I was working with Paul, I didn't write very much. And then I stopped music for a few years, and I started back up again, and I wrote a song or two. And then I reached out to Rob Stoner. Rob was Bob Dylan's bass player and tour band leader, really, for the Rolling Thunder Revue and the Hard Rain album, which was really my favorite Bob Dylan album. So I somehow got Rob's number, and he's teaching bass, guitar, and he lived in upstate New York, not far. So I reached out to him. I said, I want a songwriting lesson. I went to his house. I had an hour lesson, and I played a song for him. It had 2 verses, and he said to me, why do you have 2 verses? Are you lazy? And
how about that?
Write a 3rd verse right now. So we wrote a 3rd verse right then on the spot. What's this song about? All right, man, then do this. Okay, that. And then he said to me, this is what you do. You buy a thesaurus and a rhyming dictionary. And he actually wrote down the exact.
How about that?
The exact published version of which rhyming dictionary he wanted me to get and which thesaurus. I went out and bought it. And somehow, Dennis, like that opened me up to writing, and I felt confident. I felt like the floodgates had opened. I felt permission, and Rob was really cool. And it was one lesson.
Yeah.
It was one lesson. And since Yeah, that was in sometime around 2006, 7, around that time. And since that time, I've probably written maybe 60, 70, 80, 90 songs
Wow.
since then. So, sometimes I have lyrics written. Sometimes I have some chords on the guitar. I write on the piano. I was trying to write every day, but that's difficult. I have a full-time job, but the process is you just have to sit down and start doing it. And when you sit down,
Yeah.
I feel like you can't wait to be inspired. You have to just do it. You have to sit down, and I try to I try to write something like auto writing, anything kind of boring or stupid. I don't judge it, but I just try to fill the page up a little bit. Sometimes I just start with song titles. I'll just write all these crazy song titles. Sometimes I'll, play guitar and have a nice melody. I mean, a perfect example is when we were doing the Love Chant album, I had a little chord structure that was really nice. And I played it for you and you said, "Oh, I like that. Is that a song?" I said, "I don't have any lyrics." And you told me, "Well, finish it, write some lyrics." And that was like a Monday or Tuesday. And we were supposed to meet up again on Thursday. And the night before, I added the lyrics and the melody. And I had written the chord structure like a year or two before that.
Wow. That's a fantastic record. I mean, it gets better with age. We listened to it, me and Brad in the car, Brad Kleiman, about a week or two ago, and it holds up. It's really good.
Thank you. But that's, in a way, that's the one thing about being an independent artist. You have the time and the freedom to kind of do the work at your own pace, but then you also don't have the pressure or the deadline. And I think that, maybe if you have that all the time, that's no good. But to have a deadline or the pressure coming externally the way you did that to me was actually really helpful.
Okay.
I knocked the song out in, an hour. And so that's something that I look forward to someday.
Oh, yeah. Well,
pressure to, come up and create and get it done on time,
Well, plus you got a book out too. I mean, you really do all types of things. Now you have that book. If you want to mention about the book that you have.
Yeah. It's called Come Closer, and it's a book of my lyrics. I think there's about 40 songs in it. And then I asked Brad to write an essay. Brad Kleiman, he's been playing with me and playing with you for a long time. And Brad's a phenomenal, he's a phenomenal songwriter. And he's also an amazing singer too. Amazing singer. Yeah. So I asked him to write an essay, and he did. And then I wrote an essay about songwriting, just kind of a, some feelings about writing songs and music and all that. And then I compiled the lyrics. And part of the reason I did it was because some of my songs, I have like 10 drafts of the lyrics.
Wow.
And sometimes I'm like, hey, which one is the final version? Or where are they? Sometimes I lose them. I've been filing stuff lately, which is much better. And I thought, oh, this book will be sort of a master, what do you call it? Sort of a master list of the songs, So then I was lucky enough to have a neighbor who's a graphic artist who actually, after 2 years of me trying to figure out how to get it, self-published, he put the whole manuscript together for me. He came up with the cover, did some beautiful graphic.
Well done.
Yeah, Peter Garapi, really wonderful. And so the book, I feel great about the book.
And now you just got to figure out, like all of us artists, how to sell, for independent artists, how to get your product out there and try to, and get in front of people. And I think maybe doing these podcasts and putting more content on this channel, our channel here, maybe we can get more people interested in what we're doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talk about this a lot, the three of us, and I think we're doing some really good quality work. The music, I think, is really strong, and your songwriting is amazing. And I don't know, you just have to keep plugging away. That's what I've done. I feel like we're getting better with age too. I do.
Your voice has gotten better.
Yeah, I feel that my work has gotten a lot better, and I'm even now at a point where I feel like I'm entering another phase. I'm working on a
Mm.
solo guitar album, and I recorded it on my phone. I found this app called Spire. That's a multi-track app, and you use the microphone that's built into the phone.
How
And
about that?
yeah, I've got I think 11 tracks for it so far, and I want to do like one or two more. And it's been very liberating because, you know, I mean, you use a computer today, or you could use a, digital workstation, but I just love the simplicity of it, and I like the sound quality of it. It feels very intimate to me, and I've struggled with technology. It's a little difficult for me. I always feel like technology is kind of impedes my process because I'm a little afraid of it. So here it is.
Yeah.
You use the phone. I have my headphones. I get a level. I record, and then I
That's
do it.
great.
Yeah, and it's coming out. I really like it. I think it's some of the best work I've ever done. And also, not
Well,
singing is a very. It's kind of freeing me up to really be very experimental and very open with the actual music itself.
well, it's amazing the technology now where the camera on the phone, the camera, the pictures are amazing. And now the audio quality is really good. So you have these constant improvements. I remember recording on a Tascam cassette recorder.
Yeah, and
And
also
then
right, and you go to the studio and you have a
and
big reel-to-reel tape. The tape costs like $150
yep,
for the tape. The engineer's charging you 50, 60, 70,
yeah, I
$80
started
an hour.
out on a two-track
Yeah.
machine.
No,
And
it's
then to the 4-track, then to ADAT, and now it's just computer.
now it's infinite tracks,
So
literally.
that's true.
You
Well,
know,
that's you get kind of lost with that after a while though, because myself, I go in themes. I'll start a record and I'll keep going on it, and then I'll figure what's next. And so there'll be a break, and then I need to be inspired to do the
I
next record,
I
like
think
everybody does.
yeah, I think that the technology revolution is great, but I also think it can obscure the actual song itself. Like people can be really well produced and production values are like just incredible. And then I'm listening, I'm like, where's I don't know if the song is as good as the production. Although there's plenty of young bands out there, and I'm not one of these people that says, oh, the best music was in the 70s or the 80s or the 50s. I mean, yeah, there's always great music every decade, but if you are interested in good music, there's tons and tons of great music being played right now. You don't need to listen to the Who and the Rolling Stones and the Sex Pistols. You can find fantastic rock, jazz, punk, funk, classical, and then
Sure.
young people, genre bending, and it's just wonderful. I love it.
Well, the only thing now is there's so much of it that you really have to search and find it. It's there, but like say Bandcamp, there's so many bands out there. You just have to know what to
Thousands,
find, or maybe
right? There's
that way.
thousands and thousands of bands on Bandcamp. Yeah,
I mean, unbelievable.
it is unbelievable. And
And
no, go ahead.
so we could mention a couple other things, like we have the Abbey from Mars record
Oh yeah,
coming out that came out, picking up the lingo. You could talk a little bit about that.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
that was our idea. Primitive Substance wasn't. We weren't really a band. We're just like this group of three guys that want to collaborate with people. Yeah, we're a band,
exactly.
but we collaborated with Abby from Mars on picking up the lingo. We did the bass line, the drums, and then she came in with this fantastic vocal melody and great, just wonderful. And when we did it live at Bowery Electric, I thought it was just phenomenal. And I was
Yeah,
no rehearsal, no nothing. We hadn't played the song together, and she just nailed it. It was really great.
yeah.
I love the way it came out. And then we're doing the Sean record, Young, Badillo, and Austin.
Oh, yeah. That turned out great.
Sean Austin.
Dedicated to Sean Austin, who passed away, in December. That was tough on everybody. So
Yeah.
I think this is. You might as well mention? Have you gotten a date yet for the release
No.
party?
I didn't. We're going to do a Genesis talking about I spoke to people at the Meat Locker. Sean had gone to the Meat Locker from high school days all the way. I saw him at the Meat Locker in November when he did How I Quit Ketamine, and that was the month before he died. He was
And
performing.
that's in Montclair, New Jersey, right?
So we're gonna
So everybody,
right. We're gonna have a listening party for the Young Badillo Austin CD, and then we're gonna have, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 bands. They're all connected to Sean perform that night, and all the proceeds are gonna go to his son and his wife. And yeah, Sean was an extraordinary human being, an extraordinary
he
musician,
was.
a phenomenal, one of the greatest musicians I've ever known, really, without a doubt. You know, he's really, and also a guy with a really big heart. You know, really.
He was. He did have a big heart.
Oh,
And it was pretty exciting doing that recording with him and doing some of those jams. And
yeah. Well, Dennis,
he
you
was
know,
really an energetic.
we were rehearsing at the church. You were rehearsing with me. He was playing drums. It was me, you, Brad, and Sean. And he said to you, we had a little break in the rehearsal. He said, "Hey, Dennis, would you ever like to jam and come to my studio and do a jam?" And you're like, "Yeah, of course." And
Why not?
it meant a lot to him because he was a Liquid fan. And it was kind of the
Right.
way he approached you was really like a fan. And I was really touched by that and the way he did it. But of course, you know, he brought the fire to the recording. I mean,
Of course.
the 3 of you together were it's an incredible recording. And I
And
would urge everybody to buy it and listen to it. It's 3 tracks that Dennis, Mike Badillo, and Sean did at Sean's studio. Sean produced it, set up all the mics, and it's incredible. And then we're going to have another one come out after that because they did a second jam during COVID, and that'll come out as well. I hope. I hope people.
Now there's a
music.
Find it right. There's a video too. I don't think we posted it on the Primitive Substance site. I know it's on YouTube though.
Yes.
The video of that second jam.
Yes.
So maybe we could take some segments of that and put it on Primitive Substance.
Also, you have Sean's comedy skills on that video.
That's
a lot
right.
of funny stuff he's talking about, you know, and yeah, he's really a really you know, incredible presence while he was here, and he is really missed.
So what are you planning for the future project? It's the solo guitar, and you're going to be playing with other different musicians?
Yeah, I did a gig recently with a young bass player named Killian Wynn, who goes to William Patterson, where James goes. He's a jazz bass player, but also plays rock. And and Craig Redmond was on drums, and trio was really nice for me because I actually took some guitar solos, which I usually don't do because I've got my gunslinger Brad. You know, he takes the solo.
Right.
That was interesting. I'm going to put the guitar album. I'm trying to get it done by the end of May. And then from there, I have a record that I'm working on with my son, who's producing it and playing the piano on it. And we started that in my home studio, but then, you know, he got busy, I got busy. So he said he wants to work on that this summer. And that's called Stone Walls and Bamboo Curtains. And I've got about.
Now we got to mention, Ray, you've got 2 very talented sons that play music. You might as well mention James and
yeah, well,
Ray.
James is a great jazz piano player. He plays all, you know, has a rock band. He's graduated from William Patterson. Phenomenal musician, great ear.
Of course.
Just works really hard at it. And a great songwriter. And then Ray, my older son, put out the record that you produced, Dennis, called Can We Dance?
That I really like.
It's a great record. Ray's he's a great lyricist and
he
great
is.
singer. And his songs are really
and folks out there.
Yeah, his songs.
I think people out there should buy it. It's on Bandcamp, so I would say look for it, and hopefully everybody out there can. We'll put the link somewhere so you could find it.
Yeah, Ray should be out there leading a band. He's not quite there yet. He plays in other people's bands. I keep telling him to get your own
He'll
band.
Get there.
He's such a good songwriter, you know, and I think he also has kind of a commercial appeal. Even though his songs are quirky, I think he's a really I think he's a really good entertainer, and I think the lyrics and presentation would really go over with people. So I think he's who knows, we'll see. But I think that about a lot of people, really talented bands out there like your music, Brad's music.
Thank you.
I want to say Subskin Cable's one of my favorite bands right now.
How about that?
Yeah, they're great. And also Green City Trees, another great band. So everybody
I don't know them.
They're great. Everybody should look up Subskin Cables and Green City Trees. So,
and the other group I really like is Simon Spine.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was lucky to do be on one of their songs, which is Wizard Acid, and then I was lucky enough to see them, and I was very impressed with them live. They're going to be doing a podcast here in the future, and I got to play on the encore with them, and it was very exciting. They have a big following now, and I think big things for them.
That's great.
So I can't think of anything else, Ray. It's been great that you came on, and we're going to do a lot more music in the future, and hopefully build this channel up. So I have some more podcasts coming up, and
great.
We'll take it from there.
Well, Dennis, you know how much I enjoy all these years of playing music with you.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have many more to go. So
I'm
always excited. You just always bring the fire, the passion,
I try.
Intensity, and you're a phenomenal musician.
Thank you.
It's been a real honor for me to play with you.
Well, thank you. You're the same, and Brad and all the other people that I've played with that I've met through you have been really good musicians. And
we've done some phenomenal shows together. We really have.
We'll do some more, and we'll do some more recording, and we're not done yet.
Great. No.
That's it.
No. All right.
So anyway, that's wrapping this up. So go buy Ray's book, his records. He's a phenomenal musician, and we'll keep it going here. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Dennis.
Take care. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.